Every piece of land has history. This is the Durr Farm in Miami County. 240 acres bought by Ken Durr back in 1970.
$35,000 for 240 acres. It was a lot of money back then.
The farm passed to sons, including Wayne, and now grandsons.
I've been out here since I was 4 years old, so it's the only place I've ever known.
There's cattle and horses, and the legacy of oil. Old paperwork reveals the history.
In the Wea Indian tribes, back in 1854.
The United States government purchased this land from Native Americans. Drilling came later.
He would have sold the mineral rights back in somewhere between 26 and 30, and then it's been downhill ever since.
It's this way on many farms. Sometimes selling the mineral rights below was a way to save the family farm.
I mean, we could walk around all day out here and I could show them to you.
There are about 40 abandoned wells on the Durr Farm. Carl refers to them as minefields. Watch where you step. They can also leak. So this is what Ken Durr inherited when he bought this farm and what his grandson deals with decades later.
I would like to see them all abandoned and abandoned properly so that, they're not a hazard.
The first oil well in Kansas was drilled in 1860, so it predates the Civil War. Investors came to Kansas hoping for fortunes, but some projects went belly up. Abandoned wells are everywhere. You see the signs as you drive down roads or stop in fields.
The guy that we leased it to went bankrupt.
We met Robert and Clara Ann Kepnich when we noticed an oil pump leaking on their farmland where they grow crops.
This here ain't the only oil spill around, The other guys, they got oil spills on their place too and that.
They've sued along with their neighbors, arguing a modern-day abandonment. The issue is still before the courts, so they wait.
Really frustrating.
Here's how the oil industry works in Kansas. Someone owns the land, but someone else can own the mineral rights deep below the surface. Companies and investors come together with equipment. They own the lease. Landowners get a cut for their troubles, even more if they still own the mineral rights. But they can also get left with a mess when projects fail.
Oh, I don't want to be in the oil business. I have no desire to be in the oil business.
This farm never struck it rich. A crude situation for the Durrs, who are left with abandoned wells.
There is no such thing as the oil business out here.
One abandoned well was recently sealed with cement, a project funded under that federal grant. But dozens remain on this one farm. Kansas has identified 5,000 more abandoned wells across the state that need to be capped right now. The list keeps growing as hesitant landowners step forward.
There are times where maybe people are afraid to report abandoned wells because they don't want to be responsible for them.
The Durrs simply want out. About a decade ago, they bought the mineral rights.
Oh yeah, we are going to be done.
The Durrs recently achieved that last monumental step. They acquired the lease. It's tough for many families to do that. It is the final step to reclaiming all their family farm. Not just the land, but what's beneath. A family finally ending the legacy of oil in Kansas.